Okay, everybody, we'll call this meeting to order. Thank you for being with us tonight. This is the July 23rd regular voting meeting. Verdale, could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Lemak? Mr. Dice?
Here.
Mr. McKenna?
Here.
Mr. Stepanovich?
Here.
Mr. Diakopoulos?
Here.
Mrs. Lane? Mr. Olszewski?
Here.
Mayor Seinen?
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Mr. Nestico, do we have any unlisted amendments this evening?
No unlisted amendments.
Okay, awesome. That brings us to our consent calendar items. Are there any questions or concerns about the consent calendar items? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion, please?
Motion to accept the consent calendar items.
Second.
Thank you, Carl and Mac. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. That brings us to comments by the mayor.
Thanks, Mr. Dice. We only have a few announcements tonight. I don't know if they've come up. Yeah, there we go. Murraysville Farmer Market, again, Thursdays 3 to 7, June 6th to September 26th. Live music, weekly food trucks, local vendors, and more. As you all know by now, it's down there by the EMS base and Murraysville Fire Station at that field down there, 3235 Sardis Road. Tuesdays at Townsend, save the date. There's one tonight, actually. Free live performances in the park, 6:30 to 8 p.m. The next two will be August 6th and August 20th at Townsend Park. If you need any more information, go to www.murraysvilleparecreation.com and you'll be able to get the info on who's performing or whatever. The only other announcement I have, we're a little early, but I announced it is August 10th is our concert in the park, and that's at Murraysville Community Park. We'll have more information at the next meeting, and that concludes my comments.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Okay, comments by the Chief Administrator, Mr. Nestico.
No comments for this evening.
Okay, awesome. That brings us to community input. And I'll just jump the gun and say, I think Ms. Thornhill signed up to speak. Would you like to come forward here? Thank you.
Hello, I am Gwen Thornhill. I am here with my husband, David. We have lived at 6279 Old William Penn Highway since May of 1986. We oppose the vacation of Carolina Street. In the ordinance number 1087-24, third paragraph, under witness, it states that the subject portion of Carolina Street is not useful or convenient to the public. Many times a day, this portion is used. Friends and family visiting or deliveries access this portion of Carolina Street, which is a blacktopped opening onto Old William Penn Highway. From this blacktop, there is a concrete stairway as a means of entry to our property. This is our only walkway. The southerly end of South of Carolina Street is accessed using a four-wheel drive vehicle to accommodate my mother, who is 83 years old, to attend family functions and visit. This street is very useful and convenient to us. Also, paragraph 4 states that this action will cause no undue hardship. By not having access to this tract of land, we will be landlocked on both ends of Carolina Street, even though it says on page 2, section 3, last phrase, and no abutting property owners will become landlocked or have their access substantially impaired. So we are opposing this vacation of this portion of Carolina Street. Also, why is our tax map number 49-16-14-0-102 not listed in the ordinance?
Thank you. Mr. Nestico, is this something we could address whenever we're discussing the ordinance, or something we like to address now?
We could do it either way.
I
I'm
can
trying
also
to pull up.
say, if we need to have the engineer here, I understand that as well.
I'm trying to pull up the ordinance and the language just to be sure that she has the most current version, because I believe the solicitor did update the ordinance to include all of the adjacent parcels. And I may be mistaken there, but I want to be sure before speaking to that. So we could wait until we get to that item, and I can certainly provide that in discussion that way.
Okay, let's just stick with the agenda. We'll roll through the agenda. Whenever we get to that item, we'll just have a robust discussion about what exactly is happening. With that being said, we'll get to the Carolina Street issue. Is there any other citizens' comments before we move on? Okay, seeing none, we will go to liaison comments and committee reports. Let's start on this end. Carl?
Okay, there was, this is with respect to Medic One. There was what's called a relatively quiet meeting here on the last meeting. And the number of subscriptions are totaling right now 3,767. The number of ambulance calls, 965. Wheelchairs, 134. We ended with a cash flow positive of 58.2 thousand. I might mention that there is going to be a meeting here probably in August with the Tomar Electronics, which is the firm that provides the pre-emission, if not pre-emission, but notification with respect to the both Medic One and the Murraysville Volunteer Fire coming out of their location onto Sardis up to Old William Penn Highway. They would like to see that be optimal, if you will, and there are some things that they would like to see. And Tomar is the organization that has the equipment to do that, who's doing it currently. So we'll be meeting with them in August. With respect to the Murraysville Parks and Recreation Foundation, we met on, it was July 15th, and a number of things, but of key things that one, we will be looking the foundation into money market accounts rather than getting a very low interest, which is currently done. Also, I know, and I don't know if this has been updated, but Carly and JC will be following up with Michael to see about the funds that were allocated to the amphitheater and if they can be retained within the foundation. They were spearheaded or dedicated to the foundation. There's an ad that will be running in the Stroll magazine, and there will be on October 12th, and I'll describe this later in a subsequent meeting, but there'll be a virtual garage sale, which is kind of interesting, and it looks like the foundation will be participating in that. But more detail on that later. That's it.
All right, thank you. Mac?
Parks and Recreation, really the only thing right now was with the Tuesdays at Townsend, but the mayor already went through that, so
Okay,
that's all I got.
awesome. Matt?
Environmental Action Committee meeting last month was postponed. There was no new items. Next meeting is next Tuesday, July 30th.
Awesome, thank you. Hila?
Next meeting for the pension fund is August 9th, and I'll have a follow-up review, second meeting of August.
Okay, awesome. I'll just note that I did attend the recent FTMSA meeting. They continue with the conversion of the plant to a, actually forget, it's going from anaerobic to aerobic, I believe. So a lot of that's going good, and they are way ahead on the DEP plan. If you look at the list, it's just amazing where they're all at. So they continue to chip away down there. Okay, with that being noted, we actually have no workshop items this evening. So we will go straight to our council action items. Can I have a motion for 13A, please?
I'll make a motion to adopt fee ordinance 1089-24, the fee ordinance, chapter 112-6, an ordinance amending existing fee ordinance number 1074-23.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Mac and Matt. Mr. Nestico, can you just give us a summary?
Yes, this item and also 13B are kind of being done together as an update to the solicitation ordinance. The update to the fee ordinance is for solicitation fees. If you recall, last month, the solicitor gave council an update that there was a threat of litigation from some companies that were attempting to solicit within the community. So we wanted to make sure that we revise the ordinance to be in conformity with the existing laws. Additionally, just by way of further information to the public, we do also have a do not knock list within the municipality for anybody that does not wish to have door-to-door solicitation from businesses or other for-profit entities. They can sign up for the do not knock list. So that is what item 13A and B are reflecting here.
Okay. Council, any questions or concerns in regards to 13A or 13B?
I guess the question would be, who is objecting or who is proposing the possible litigation? What?
There was a company that's based out of Texas that reached out to us challenging the language in the solicitation ordinance. So in talking with the solicitor, it seemed prudent to just revise some of the language, address some of the fees and the way we charge them. The issue with the fees is that if you were to come and solicit for a longer period of time in the municipality, a month or more, the fees can get quite substantial. And the argument put forth by the company and an existing case law is that you can't impose a fee as a penalty, or you can't impose a fee for anything more than to cover your administrative costs. So the way it is currently structured, if somebody comes in to solicit for over a month, we still do the same amount of paperwork. We still have to go through the same permitting process. But the fee grows substantially for the same amount of work than if somebody were to come in and solicit for a day or two. So we wanted to kind of correct that so that it's reflected in the fee ordinance. I don't know that I want to state the name of the company here on the record, but unless Adam would suggest otherwise. But it was a company that's based out of Texas that does solicitation for pest control and things like that.
Well, that's what I was looking for, pest control?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, hearing none, can I hear all those in favor for 13A, please? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 13A passes. And now can I have a motion for 13B as well, unless there are any, or excuse me, can I have a motion for 13B first?
Yeah, motion to adopt ordinance number 1090-24, the solicitation ordinance, amending chapter 169 to modify the application process for business and individual applicants, revise the daily ending time for solicitors, and allow for the issuance of annual solicitation permits.
Second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Eli and Carl. Any final questions before we vote on this as well? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. This brings us to 13C, which is what Ms. Thornhill spoke about. So what I would say, just so we can have this on the table to discuss and for the minutes, can somebody make a motion to consider ordinance number 1087-24, so you won't be really putting it up yay or nay. It's just a motion to consider ordinance number 1087. So would somebody please make that motion?
I'll make a motion to consider to adopt ordinance number 1087-24, vacating an unopened or abandoned portion of Carolina Street.
We have a second, please?
Second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Matt and Carl. So at this point, Michael, I mean, let's discuss it. I think Ms. Thornhill said that they make use of this street. They apparently don't consider it to be unopened or abandoned in their eyes as residents. So I would say, what is our stance then?
That's correct. So I pulled up the map here. We'll see if we can get it on the display, but you'll see what the roadway, or I guess the paper road would look like here. It would run between these two properties, as you can see on the map. Now, there is a curb cut there, and I'm not sure how or why that curb cut is in place, and I'm sure there is a history there. However, what I do know is that regardless of the curb cut, this area, all the way up through and even into the next block, has never been used as a municipal roadway. It appears that the two property owners abutting the unopened roadway have utilized it for ingress and egress to their own properties. And at that point, and again, the solicitor can certainly weigh in and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's never been opened as a public roadway. They've almost used it more as a private right-of-way to access their properties. The public doesn't use this throughway. It really, as you can see from the picture, couldn't be used by the public. And the idea behind vacating the roadway is simply relinquishing the municipal right to potentially put a roadway there in the future. And that would be what the process is. As it relates to the ordinance itself, I have it here. I pulled it up on the screen. What Mrs. Thornhill is referring to, I believe, is probably in the caption here where it does not mention her tax map number. However, it does mention the other abutting property tax map numbers in the caption. That is something I'm sure that we could correct. That would be probably a minor administrative matter. As far as the text of the ordinance under Section 6, the Thornhill property is listed as one of the abutting property owners, and they were provided notice. So the text of the ordinance, I think, covers any concern about being included or being a part of the ordinance process.
I agree.
And as far as the section that was mentioned, just kind of as a point of clarification, the section that she mentioned as it relates to, and I could try to highlight it here, that the roadway will not be needed for future public use, and no abutting property owners will become landlocked or have their access substantially impaired, would still remain intact, because the municipality doesn't have any intention of doing anything to improve the area or make a roadway. So it would remain as is going forward, unless a private action were taken to try to attempt to acquire title to this tract of land. And as council may be familiar, that's quite a lengthy process. That's a private matter that a property owner would have to go through the court system itself. So again, I don't want to speak for the solicitor. I'm sure that the solicitor could weigh in as well if any of that is inaccurate, but I think that's a pretty accurate summary of things thus far.
Yeah, I mean, Adam, thoughts on this situation? Or
Yeah,
Michael's?
this is nothing more than the municipality relinquishing its public right to that area. It does not affect any of the neighboring properties or abutting properties or any of those properties in that plan up there to use it for any private rights, right? It's just the municipality saying, we're not going to open that and make it a municipal road. You know, and honestly, I'm not sure that we even had the right to, because you have to do it within 21 years of the recording of the plan. Anybody familiar with that area? White Valley was laid out probably 110 years ago. So I'm pretty sure our right to open that road was probably long since expired, but this just dots that I and crosses that T.
It appeared as well that the actual public easement we're vacating goes right through a few homes, I believe. Was that correct?
Goes
You know,
between
it's
the homes.
tax mapping, so, you know, tax mapping is not 100% accurate, but it's pretty close, but it generally aligns with in between the two houses, but I mean, you'd have to get a full survey to know exactly where that paper street is.
Okay.
If we could pull up the overhead, you'll see this is where Carolina Street would be if it connected to the upper portion that does exist. So it goes between, again, the properties on the lower half there by Old William Penn, and then the properties between Ohio and Delaware. So that it would be those two blocks, essentially, of unopened roadway that would be vacated.
Michael, can you identify where the Thornhills are on this map?
Yeah, so on this map, this would be their property right here.
Okay, so they are their property is closest to William Penn Highway? Or is there another property between them and Old?
No, they are on Old William Penn. And if I go back to the other map, you would see the property here. This is from Old William Penn, and I believe this would be the Thornhill property here. And then the unopened portion of Carolina would go straight up through here. And as you can see, there are improvements kind of coming from both of those adjacent property owners for their own private ingress, egress, or access to their property, which would all remain undisturbed. I mean, the municipality, by relinquishing its right to put a roadway in, would simply just be abandoning that right and that roadway, and everything would remain as is unless somebody came forward with some sort of private action to attempt to acquire title to the abandoned parcel.
So at this point, well, let me say, council, further questions or concerns before I ask Ms. Thornhill to maybe come to the mic and tell us your thoughts about kind of what's going on, or if you don't want to, that's fine as well.
The last statement that was made.
Yeah,
The last statement that was made about somebody acquiring this property, we have sat in the offices here at our municipality of Murraysville to ask questions. Last September, I have it, my daughter has it taped from Mr. Job, one of the zoning officers, who said, we own 20 feet and they own 20 feet. Now, that's just somebody saying that. And then we get these letters in the mail with persons, Daniel Randolph and Daniel McKenna, and how somebody who doesn't even come and take care of their new bought property is doing nothing. And yet they want to come and I feel like they want to stake claim to all 40 feet. My concern is if they choose to do that, those concrete steps that you see there, that's the only way we can get into our home. That's our walkway to get up into our house. There's no driveway. There's nothing off of Ohio Street in the back. It's a grassy thing. The only way my mom can come visit is if the weather works on our favor and we can drive her down into the yard to get her to our home.
but I guess my thought process would be, and again, Michael or Adam, correct me, if we vacate the portion of this road that, as we look at it, just cuts right between all these homes, wouldn't Miss Thornhill be receiving the property she's talking about, or no?
I would love that answer.
Because,
Spot.
no, yeah, I
There's
mean,
the
if we
spot.
get,
The
let me
disclaimer
say,
that, obviously I represent the municipality and not you. It is my opinion you already own that 20 feet. And the adjoining property owns the other 20 feet. However, subject to the right of every single person in the Pedora plan of lots,
We've heard this many times.
use that right away. Okay? So,
It can't be released to one or the other. Nobody,
well, that's
I
not
was
what
told by
we're,
Westlong, your father, I believe,
some days.
and we had a wonderful conversation. Mr. Nestico has been very kind and very calming, and this is just, after 38 years of living on 39 years of living on the property that we have, I don't understand. It's just I don't understand.
Because there was a recorded plan, when that plan was recorded, as best I can figure out in 1915, there was a dedication of these rights of way in that street, right? To all of the owners in the plan, okay, to have the right to use those. If the municipality within 21 years doesn't open that street, which we obviously haven't, right? But
what's going to happen next? I understand this is probably out of, like, if you vacate it and you're done with it, but what's going to say that we have to go to court? That is my most uncomfortable thought in the world, to try to prove that we have 20 feet. We've never had a conversation with Daniel Randolph or Daniel McKenna. We just get a letter from the municipality because they send an email.
Well, I don't think the status quo changes until somebody would do anything. I think you own 20 feet, I think they own 20 feet, and the only way to forever extinguish everybody's right, all the other property owners in that plan, is actually for you and your husband to file a lawsuit. You're going to love this. against every single property owner in that plan, that you would have to go on the offensive, right? So our action here tonight doesn't change where you find yourself right now, right? If you want to make sure that that is forever yours, that 20 feet, then you have to file what's called a quiet title action against literally every single property owner in that.
But I do need to have our number on that ordinance as well. My copy that was sent to me, I do realize it says draft, but though that last page was not sent to me, or I probably would have said, well, yeah, it's on there. So this is my,
That's no problem, I can do that.
so I didn't look at the ordinance here at the
That's okay.
office, so.
No, and I
But it
apologize for
wasn't in
that.
that there's only 3 people here. Where's our people? Where's our number? So,
I would just, Ms. Thornhill, all I would say is that our action here tonight doesn't change the position you find yourself in, right? It just eliminates the municipalities officially, which I think we didn't have it anyway, but officially eliminates our ability to put a road through there. But it doesn't change the rights of you and your husband against the other property owners in that plan. What you had when you walked in here is the same as what you had walking out. You may not like that, but that's the position you find yourself in.
If I could ask, who requested the vacation?
The adjacent property owner, Randolph and McKenna.
and that's
Now-
why their names are on this paper, not ours.
Well, that's not why they're on there, but ultimately, that the request came in that said, would the municipality consider vacating the roadway several months ago? And again, based on the discussion here tonight, I'm not sure that that's even necessary, because I don't know that the municipality still has an interest in that after the, as we mentioned, 21 years. It's been over 100 years since the plan was formed, but in the interest of kind of just cleaning things up and allowing things to move forward, if the Thornhills or if Randolph and McKenna or any other property owner in that plan wanted to take action against the plan itself, as Mr. Long has mentioned, they would have to go through that process the same way, any one of those individuals. So this was kind of just cleaning things up to make sure that the municipality doesn't have a role in that process, and that's why it's up for consideration.
Okay, understood. All right, thank you. Thank you, man. Okay, with that being said, council, do we have any final questions or concerns before we vote?
Mr. Dice, I'm obviously abstaining from that vote because my brother's part of the group that owns the house on the other side of it, so
Okay.
I won't be involved.
Understood, thank you.
Yep.
Make sure you file something with Adam as well, just to protect yourself under the Ethics Act.
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, any other questions or concerns?
Just want to get a little clarity of this. What is there any statute that confirms that both property owners have 20 feet? You know, where does that exist? Is that documented or is it just
It's
known?
it's a combination, is the best of my understanding is of the municipal code in Pennsylvania and common law that's developed over the years, that if the municipality doesn't, or any borough or whatever, doesn't open a dedicated street on a plan within 21 years, it reverts to the midpoint to the abutting property owner. So if it was 30 feet, it'd be 15 and 15, 50 feet, 25 and 25. You know, so in this case, the plan was 40, so it's 20 and 20. And then, you know, but again, that doesn't extinguish the remaining private property rights. It just extinguishes our ability to open it.
Okay.
And I think the thing that you said, Adam, that really sums it up is the rights of all these individual property owners that you see there, they're not changing based on this vote. It's more us as a municipality just saying, we're now out of it. Because again, if any one of those individual property owners wanted to actually say, okay, this is now a part of my property, that 20 feet or whatever it is, they would have to go to court, as you said, I believe quiet title or something like that, to actually truthfully acquire that property right such that you could include it on a sale or something like that. So I think that's the most important takeaway. So with that being said, yeah.
Dice, Dane, Mr. Dice.
No, Dan.
So if somebody the acquiree wanted that piece of property, they would have to get unanimous release from all the property owners to acquire it? Is that
In that plan.
in that plan?
Yes, you can either get it by consent or by litigation, but it's an all or nothing process.
Okay.
So you would more often than not just do it by litigation, just because you'll never get,
Yeah.
80 people or whatever there are to all sign off and say, yes, the Thornhills own 20 feet and McKenna and
Gotcha.
Randolph own the other
Okay.
20.
It'd probably end up before the Board of Viewers if somebody wanted to do that. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any final questions or concerns? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say
Did I
aye.
do probably, because I have to abstain.
Okay. You want to just do a roll call instead?
Yeah, probably, but that way I officially abstain.
Verdale, would you like to do a roll call, please?
Mr. Dice?
Yes.
Mr. McKenna?
I abstain.
Mr. Stepanovich?
Yes.
Mr. Diakopoulos?
Yes.
Mr. Olszewski?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Motion passes, and we're noting Mac's abstention. That brings us to the next vacating an unopened street motion. Can I have a motion and a second for 13C, please?
That'd be 13D, I think. D is in dog.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, 13D, please.
I'd like to motion to adopt ordinance number 1088-24, vacating an unopened or abandoned portion of Carson Avenue and an adjacent unnamed alleyway between Reed Boulevard and Route 22.
Let's go Carl and Matt. I think he was first. Mike, any other update?
No, this is, again, a similar matter to what we just discussed. I would say almost everything applies to this one as well. This is a portion of Carson Avenue near the Murraysville Community Center. I'll pull up on the overhead a graphic that shows the portion of roadway. This area right now, it is paved, but it's not utilized as a roadway. The adjacent property owners use it for parking because of the reconstruction of Route 22 roughly 20 years ago. This area that's on the map that I'm highlighting is closed off, so the roadway is not utilized. In addition, under Exhibit B is an unnamed alleyway that's also being included as well. This, I can pull the street level view of this. You can see vegetation and trees growing through there that have been there for quite some time. Again, it's an unopened alleyway. And so in order to allow the adjacent property owners to consider any sort of acquisition of the property, as we just discussed, like in the previous matter, the municipality would have to vacate the interest in adopting and improving the roadways.
Okay. So very similar, but again, different area. Council, questions or concerns?
Mike, this is adjacent to the property that just sold that's under construction, is that what it?
I can't be too sure of that.
Across from Dunkin' Donuts, kind of.
It's across from Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, I can pull the street level view here. Just to-
Cosmos, old Cosmos Pizza?
Yeah. And then there was one next to it. Yeah, I think they're both under construction.
I'll pull the, this is the overhead here. This is Carson. As you can see, obviously the new, I say new, but the reconstruction of Route 22 blocked this off, and so it's only utilized, as you can see, like this vehicle here, it's utilized for parking on one side. And then same thing with the alleyway that's down here. This would be the unopened alleyway. There's a utility pole tree, and from the other side, there's other vegetation as well. As you can see right there, a tree that's been there for quite some time. So the municipality has no interest in improving either of these two roadways or making them accessible to the public. And so that's why the item is up for consideration to vacate both of these items as well.
Okay.
This may be an awkward question, but is there any way that the municipality could get some money for this?
No, because the municipality, and again, maybe the solicitor can correct me on that, but it's not our roadway to sell, if you will. It's just laid out in a plan. and it's an unimproved roadway.
And I would say we,
It's just the vacation of the right to put a roadway in.
Yes.
Really.
Or in the case of Carson, it's essentially an abandoned roadway from the municipality. It's no longer utilized for ingress or egress. So there wouldn't be anybody to,
I guess I would take your word for it, but it makes me think, what if someone and I'm not trying to get too hypothetical, but if there were an accident right now on that property, on that street, who would be liable? Who is like the owner?
well, the owner of the roadway, I don't know that would have any impact, but it's within the municipality, it's within our jurisdiction, but the accident itself, unless the roadway were to cave in some fashion, I don't know that liability applies. But as you said, given that hypothetical, if there were an issue where the roadway had a sinkhole of some sort, then it would be treated as if, I guess as if it's any other roadway within the municipality at this point. But that may be the case, regardless of improvement. I'm not quite sure of that answer, to be honest.
but the issue is we don't own it in fee simple. It's not ours, correct? Am I right on that, Adam? This is not,
Certainly, if it was laid out in a plan, Carson Street's a little trickier because it was opened at one point, right? The one that has the tree growing in the middle of it, I think is pretty clear. We never opened it, right? So I don't think we have any rights to that. As for the one that's used as a parking lot, it appears that at some point it was used as a street, and we're just abandoning it since, also it eliminates, any maintenance obligation, anything like that we would have. And I would think that, the adjoining property owners upon our vacation just, again, own to the middle. It reverts back to the adjoining property owners at the midpoint.
but again, we don't own it in fee, because again, for it to be worth money, we'd have to sell it and say, hey, put a pizza shop here. We can't do that, correct?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Does anybody have that right to do that?
I get, now.
No,
we're getting
actually, I think at this point, the only person that would own it upon our approval would be the adjoining property owners would again.
The
own the middle.
50-50.
They can now, is there a recorded plan up there, Michael?
I believe that there is, yes. I'm trying to pull it up now. There is a recorded plan. I don't know all the specifics. But what I was going to add that may answer some of the questions here is that I believe both sides of Carson are owned by, or have the same property owner.
Oh, that's convenient.
And so that was part of the reason for cleaning it up. It's listed under two different names, but it is the same owner on both sides of Carson. And so the idea being that it kind of cleans things up for that owner, and in some ways maybe even relieves some liability, because as the solicitor mentioned, if there were snow or ice buildup or something like that, and we're not maintaining it properly, there could be a concern there. But by vacating it, that we would probably alleviate that concern. So it may actually help, in some ways, clean up the records.
No, absolutely, the liability issues. Okay, other questions or concerns from council?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. That brings us to 13E. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to appoint Police Captain David Coleman as Emergency Management Coordinator.
Second. Okay, thank you, Matt and Eli. Michael, anything to add?
No, due to the recent retirement of the police chief and the promotion of Captain Kaczynski to the chief position, we have the subsequent promotion of Dave Coleman from sergeant to captain. Historically, the emergency management coordinator has been the captain in the municipality, and so we just want to make sure that we make that appointment, and we'll notify the state of the appointment as well. There's a process there, but the new police captain would take over the responsibilities of the previous captain.
Okay, awesome. Pretty simple. Questions or concerns from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. It's unanimous. Can I have a motion for 13F, please?
Motion to consider approval to renew the cyber insurance with Travelers in the amount of $5,858.00 for the fiscal year August 24 through July 2025.
Second the motion?
Thank you, Eli and Carl. Michael, anything to add? I know there's just an insurance policy.
Pretty straightforward. This is a almost $6,000 policy. It did come down a couple $100 from the prior year. We renew this annually through Travelers for our cyber insurance.
Okay. Questions or concerns from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. That brings us to, on my agenda, I still have a 14A and B. I assume we're tabling that this evening?
That's correct. It was printed on the agenda and advertised, so being that we only have 5 council members and the history of this item, it makes sense to table and bring back to a future agenda.
Okay. So at this point, it was advertised, so what I would say, we don't have a date certain yet, so it would just generally be motions to table A and B.
Correct. Well, it would be put on the next agenda, which would be the August 7th agenda.
Okay. So can I have a motion from someone to table 14A and B and place those items on the August 7th agenda? And if someone wants to just say so moved, that works.
Michael, I know they were tabling it so that we had a full council house, and I won't be at that meeting. I will be out of town, so I'll be at the second August meeting, so I don't know if that matters at all.
I have to check the time waiver, but I think, obviously, we keep putting it on the subsequent agenda, trying to make sure that we have enough to get to 4 votes in one direction or the other, so that's kind of the goal of moving it. So I guess we'll have to see
Okay.
what attendance looks like going into that meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so at this point,
Motion to table
to the August 7th meeting, and then if we have
to
to,
the August 7th meeting.
We'll make a motion to approve SP 3-24, a parking study, 2010 Borland Farm Road for a proposed use of the building for basketball and pickleball courts.
Second.
thank you, Mac and Eli. Michael?
Yes. Our ordinance requires 1 parking space for each 90 square feet of gross floor area. I cannot recall offhand, but I believe the gross floor area necessitates somewhere in the range of 300 to 400 parking spaces. So they did conduct a study. They were required to implement all of those parking spaces, and ultimately, the parking study concluded that they have adequate parking as situated, even based on peak hours with the implementation of pickleball and basketball inside of the facility. Planning Commission reviewed this item and recommended approval.
Awesome. Council, questions or concerns?
Nope.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Passes unanimous. Thank you, everyone. That brings us to 15A. Can I have a motion, please?
Consider reducing the sequestered funds being held to ensure completion of the required improvements at Hillstone Village Development.
I believe it in the amount
The
of,
amount of $146,300.
$300, yes.
okay. Eli? Oh, thank you. So Carl and Eli, thank you. Michael, anything to add?
The developer requested this reduction. We will still have a remaining $90,000 sequestered for the completion of paving on this project. And staff recommends reducing the amount as motioned by council.
Okay. Questions or concerns?
Nope.
Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you, everyone. That brings us to 15B. Can I have a motion, please?
Yeah, motion to consider authorization to advertise DPW-5-24 Basin Retrofit Project.
A second.
Thank you, Eli and Matt.
Was included in the capital improvement plan for 2024. The approved budget amount was $125,000. Most of the expenses will be covered by an ARPA grant, and the municipality will be contributing $32,000 to this project. This project is part of our MS4 NPDES permit. So the ponds that were identified to be retrofitted are Mallard Landing, Fair Oaks, Les Chateaux, and Bartlett Court.
Okay. Questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Can I have a motion for 15C, please?
Make a motion to consider authorization of the advertisement for DPW-6-24 Old William Penn Bridge Deck Replacement.
Second.
Thank you, Mac and Carl. Michael?
Yes, just like the last, to advertise the DPW project. This is the bridge on Old William Penn that we've talked about over the last several meetings that had another weight reduction, and we want to get that bridge repaired. So this would get everything placed out to bid, and the cost is approximately $215,000 is estimated for the repair. We do have a grant from the DCED for $200,000, and the remaining funds would come from the road and bridge reserves.
Okay. Questions or concerns from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Lastly, under Public Works and Parks, can I have a motion for 16A, please?
Make a motion to ratify the sale of used surplus municipal equipment.
I second it.
Okay, thank you, Matt and Eli. Michael, anything, pretty straightforward, but anything to go over?
Now, there were several pieces of municipal equipment and some vehicles that were listed on Municibid. This is to approve and award the sale, the bids for the sale of this equipment.
Okay, awesome. Council, questions or concerns? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Lastly, that brings us to 16B. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve a contract with Kellner Fireworks Incorporated to purchase and exhibit fireworks for the 2024 Murraysville Concert in the Park event on August 10th.
Thank you, Mac and Eli. Again, buying fireworks, but Michael, anything to add?
Now, the only other item to add is that we, because the event did not take place last year due to weather, we did purchase the fireworks last year and paid 50%. So this, and they stored the fireworks for us for the year. So this is to make the final remaining payment and approve the fireworks at the Concert in the Park event. So the total cost remaining to be paid, the 50%, is in the range of $4,000 to $5,000. For some reason, I'm not seeing it right here in front of me, but
44.
oh, I'm sorry, it's in the, okay. Got it. Sorry. Yep, 4,400 is the remaining amount due to Kellner's. So staff would recommend approval of this item so that we could have fireworks at the Concert in the Park in August.
Awesome. And we'll just note for the minutes the exact amount.
$4,441.98.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, with that said, any questions or concerns from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we got the fireworks. Any old business from anyone? Any new business?
I just wanted to say, just that we haven't had a meeting since Chief and the new chief started. I just want to say congratulations and thank you to Chief Seefeld, and congratulations to Chief Kaczynski and Captain Coleman for that. It's been great, all of them. So
No, absolutely.
big thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, from all of us. That's a big deal. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Okay, we have no executive session, so can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Carl and Matt. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.